Good morning, students. How are you doing all? I hope you are doing great. So today's class, I am going to give you some assignment problems to work at home. Just look at the board now, everybody. I have written two problems which have been already solved in the class. I mean new numbers I have changed. That's it. So concept has been taught already in the video class. Okay, one is univariate table, second one is bivariate table. Two homework problems I would like to give you. So you need to calculate these two problems. Whenever the offline session begins, you are supposed to submit these two questions. Remember. Okay, just look at the board now. Given below are the daily wages in rupees of 36 workers in a factory. So there are 36 workers in a factory and their daily wages are given. 36 workers daily wages, nothing but daily labor money. Okay, daily worked money. So 36 observations, 36 amounts they have given it. Look at there, daily wages of 36 labors. And form a frequency distribution taking the lowest class interval as 90 to 140. See, if you observe there, the least value itself is a 92. Already one direct hint is given, class interval as 90 to 140. Fine. So there 92 is a least value according to me. And that is the reason here class interval has started from 90. As you all know that it should be a multiple of 5, the lowest class limit. And the highest value is if you observe 2, 320, 382. Yes, so according to me 382 is the highest value. So you can easily calculate the range. And as you all know that here lowest class interval 90 to 140 with the magnitude of 50 means width has to be taken 50. Already class interval type they have given as well as the width is also given. Straight away you have to calculate number of classes range by width. You need not apply stress rule. You know when to apply stress rule, right? So you need to apply stress rule when only raw data is present. Except raw data, nothing will be mentioned in the question. Directly they will give the raw data and ask you to form a frequency distribution. In such cases, for finding number of classes, you need to use stress rule, which is k equals to 1 plus 3.322 log n. So this is the stress rule. If you observed the previous videos, there are some problems by using stress rule, and without using stress rule we have calculated few problems, right? So that is the first question. You need to form a table, continuous frequency table, but to univariate it is. The first problem is a univariate, single variable. Now look at the second one. Construct a bivariate frequency table with class interval for height as, here also the same thing. Already directly the class intervals are given. 115 minus 115 to 125, 125 to 135. This is how the class interval has to be taken, but they did not mention how many classes are to be framed. I mean number of classes k denoted by is not given. Only type in what format the class interval has to be given. One brief hint is given, as well as height and weight. According to that, already class interval from which number you have to start, directly in the question itself they have given. You need not worry much. Just you need to calculate range. Range is also not required because already the started 62 value and there 115. Already they have given the initial term, initial class interval. Okay, but how many classes the data has to be framed, that has to be calculated by yourself. Here everything is given. Width is also given indirectly. That means 115 to 125. What would be the width? It's exclusive type. So there is 10 width. 115, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So up to 124, 10 would be the width. And 125 is included in the next class because it is exclusive type of class interval. Upper limit is not included in the same class. It is excluded and included in the next class, that is called as exclusive type. So 125, if any value is to be plotted, I mean marked, tallied, that 125 should not be taken in first interval. 115 to 125 it should not be taken. 125 to 135, where that 125 has a lower limit, there the tally has to be taken. Clear? So these are the two assignment problems everybody has to calculate at home. Already I hope you are maintaining one notebook, my track. So please refer these two problems, refer the previous problems which have been calculated, and then calculate these two more problems in your assignment book or else in your class notebook also. I don't mind, any book is fine. Clear? So with this I am going to wind up classification concept. So your chapter name is classification and tabulation. Now classification concept is completely done with these two problems homework. Okay, now the new concept tabulation I am going to begin. Clear? So I hope you solve these problems and be ready for offline classes. So at the time of offline class I am going to check these questions, remember guys. Okay, now let me teach tabulation concept. The next concept is tabulation. See, the collected and the classified data can also be presented in a form of table. Collected data and classified data can be taken in the form of a table, right? Generally when we remember the table means two things will come to know. One is rows, another one is columns, right? Any table you take it, whether it is classified or non-classified data, any table if you consider, rows as well as columns, both are included in a table, right? Here what we are doing, not only the classification, the classified data we are presenting in the form of a table which includes rows as well as columns, right? Now a tabular presentation provides better understanding, comparison and analysis to draw valid conclusion. So this tabulation is very much understanding, comparing or for comparison sake, and analysis drawn for better results. For better results. Okay, so a tabular presentation provides better understanding, comparison, analysis drawn for better results or conclusions. Here the data will be arranged in the form of a table containing rows and columns. Here the classified data will be arranged in the form of a table which contains rows as well as columns. So remember that, right? And a statistical table makes it possible for the investigator. If you draw a table which contains rows and columns, any statistical inquiry if we start, I mean any investigator, if they start any investigation to present a huge mass of data in a orderly form, if the data is vast, okay, which has to be condensed, reduce the size by converting, by classifying and then forming in the tabulation form which contains rows and columns. For every investigator, the detailed information also can easily be presented in the form of a table, and orderly manner also it can be form of a table. So that is the main objective of tabulation concept, remember. Okay, and the next one is classification and tabulation are not two distinct things, they are not separate things. The classified data only in the form of a table we are representing, right? They are not two separate things. Classification and tabulation, they are not separate things. When raw data is given, how the rice will be polished, right? Raw rice will be there, and after polishing it, again the pure rice will be generated. So this way the polishing will be there, right? When raw data is there, right, which is not in a form, that raw data will be polished or classified. That classified data only we are forming tabulation thing in the form of rows and columns, right? This is how the process used to be done. For every investigator, if the data is very huge, rather than observing from raw kind of data, if he classifies the data and arranged in a tabulation form, then the analysis, comparison, understanding by the layman, common man, will become very easily and orderly manner. Remember that. Before tabulation, data are classified and then displayed under difficult columns and rows. So in this concept, what we are doing it, the classified data only we are representing in the form of a rows and columns. Clear? Now let us see how this tabulation has some objectives. Before that, I would like to give you the definition of tabulation. Everybody please note down the definition of tabulation. Write down definition of tabulation. So I can say this tabulation is mainly for understanding, for comparison, and for easy analysis to get desired conclusions. So these are the main uses for the tabulation. Now classification and tabulation are not two separate things. The data which has been classified in the form of rows and columns, if you are arranging it systematically, that itself is called as a tabulation. Now write down the definition for this. Definition of tabulation. It is a process of systematic arrangement of classified data into rows and columns. Just see the definition there. It is a process of systematic arrangement of classified data into rows and columns in the form of a table. In the form of a table known as tabulation. So write down the definition now, everybody. It is the process of systematic arrangement of classified data into rows and columns in the form of a table known as tabulation. So a tabular presentation provides a better understanding, comparison, easy analysis to get desired conclusions. At the same time, a statistical table makes it possible for the investigator. Remember, if any survey is going to be conducted, right? Generally, if you do any raw survey, directly going to the public and conducting one survey, you may get biased or unbiased information. What you need to do, that unbiased information has to be classified first. Okay, after classifying, you have to form in a tabular thing in the form of which contains rows and columns. Generally, the numerical facts only will be fitted into the tabular form. Remember, the numerical facts. Every common man will be understanding it. Classification is one way of observing the data. The classified information, if you form in a tabular thing, then it will be more understanding, and for better results, the tabulation concept will be used. So if you observe the definition, it is a process of systematic arrangement. There itself you got to know, arrangement of classified data into or in rows and columns in the form of a table called as tabulation. Now, some objectives were there, advantages of using this tabulation, right? What are the advantages? Nothing but uses, I can say. Keep the heading uses or objectives. So, keep the heading objectives. It simplifies the complex data. First point is it simplifies the complexity of the data. I mean difficult, huge, vast data also it will be easily simplified in the form of a table, right? So when the data is vast, when your survey is huge, condensing that survey, reducing the size of the survey, right? So neatly you can represent the data in the form of a table. So there I said you just now, biased and unbiased information may get possibility is there, possibly you may get biased or unbiased information sometimes. So the biased information can be detained, removed, and then the unbiased information neatly it has to be classified and condensed if the data is huge, and we can represent in the form of a table. By using the statistical tables we can simplify any investigator the typical kind of data also in a easiest manner. That is the first one. It simplifies the complex data. Next, to facilitate comparison. This point most commonly you have seen in almost all the methods, right? It facilitates the comparison, right? So any tabular form, generally if you observe any conferences, right? Conference meeting, round table conference among different industries or among different government sectors, right? Conferences if you observe, conference meetings if you observe, generally by using tabular forms or else diagrammatical representation only, the comparison will start from one company to other company, how to develop and how to defeat them and how to attack to the into the public, okay, how to establish their sectors. So everything comparison is very much essential, right? So tabular presentation means immediately in the easiest manner even a common man also will understand that, okay, to facilitate the comparison. Next one is identity of the data, to give an identity to the data. See, for this point, any movie without title, nobody will watch, right? So that exact story after title is required. Remember, even that gives even an identity also. Because of the title, the entire information gets an identity. Even the same thing in the tabulation form, identity we will be getting it if you are completely compressing and condensed in a tabular form when the huge data is present. There, to give clear identity to the data, what exactly this table meant for. Okay, that identity this tabulation form will give. So next point is to reveal the trends and tendencies to the data. Even this point also frequently you might have observed. It follows trends and tendencies of the data. It follows trends and tendencies of the data. Next, the fifth one is for diagrammatical and graphical representation, a tabulated data is essential. So now, tabulation is very much essential for diagrammatical graphical representations. Just now I gave you one example. Any conference meetings or any public sector meetings, for comparison's sake, raw data cannot be shown in a diagram, right? The classified tabulated data only will be shown in the form of a diagrammatical and graphical representations. Remember this. Okay, so diagrammatical and graphical representations are very much required, the tabulated data to represent by themselves. Clear? So these are the objectives, and one more is it facilitates computation of various statistical measures for the computations of various statistical measures like averages, dispersions, etc. See, if you want to calculate anything, average, standard deviation, variation, coefficient of variation, mean, median, mode, all these harmonic means, geometric mean, for all these kind of statistical measures, we need a tabulated form. Numerically tabulated form is required. Clear? So these are the main objectives of tabulation. Please check out once again. Objectives of tabulation. There at the corner definition I have given, and these are all the objectives of tabulation. It simplifies the complex data, difficult data can be easily managed and simplified, and to facilitate comparison, as you all know that statistics itself is like to facilitate comparison, right? Everywhere, every corner. Next, it gives an identity to the data. At the same time, it follows trends and tendencies of the data. Okay, depending upon the time, situation, area, locationally, geographically, area wise, it follows the trends and tendencies according to the situations. And then tabulation is very much essential for diagrammatical and graphical representations, right? So easily diagram and graphs, if you see, rather than numerically calculated, diagrammatical and graphical things will set into your mind permanently. So observing the data numerically and observing the diagrams, the same data if you represent in terms of diagrams, which will be retained in your mind throughout, generally the pictorial kind of things. I mean, observing the diagrams and graphs, those things will completely store in your mind rather than the numerical facts, right? So diagrammatical and graphical representation has that much efficiency that even a common man will understand easily. Now, for diagrams and graphical representations, a tabulated form or tabulated data is very much essential. And the next one is for the computation of various statistical measures like averages, dispersions, correlations, this tabulation is required. These are all the objectives of tabulation. Now, coming to the point, parts of a table. Generally, any movie, one producer, one director, one photography, dance master, singing group, musician, right, assistant co-director, technicians, hero, heroine, all these people have one picture they involves. The same way, even tabulation also, there are many parts which are to be framed. When you want to frame a tabulation thing, you need to follow some parts, okay, parts of the table, right? So let us see that next one, parts of a table. See here, parts of a table. Generally, the various parts of the table are depending on the nature and scope of the data. The various parts of a table are depending upon the nature and type of data, scope of the data. Means what exactly the concept has to be tabulated. According to that, the parts has to be framed. Clear? Now the first part is table number. Parts of a table. The first one is the table number and the second one is title of the table. And the second one is title of the table. Next one, head note or subtitle. Head note or subtitle. And the fourth one is captions. Part number 4 is captions. Part number 5, stubs. Part number 5 is stubs. Part number 6, body of the table. Body of the table. Part number 7, footnote. Part number 7 is footnote. And part number 8, sources. These are all the parts of a table. Now, what all these meanings individually? Number 1, table number. Generally, the number should be given to each and every table. Suppose if you have small data, right, within one table only the data can be framed in terms of rows and columns. For this, table number is not required because data is small and within one table only the data has to be fitted. And next one, if the data is vast, huge, more number of tables are required. In such situations, you need to give the table number as per the order, right? So as per the order, if the data is huge, the table number has to be given. A number should be given to each and every table in order to distinguish and also for easy reference, right? So if the data is huge, if you are planning to frame maximum number of tables, table number has to be mentioned for distinguishing particular what table it is meant for, and for the identifying and reference sake also table numbers are very much required. Usually the table number is written at the right hand corner at the top of the table. See, those all parts. Formation I will show you. Formation of a table. So general formation of a table. Now right side corner, here it has to be mentioned table number always. Next, title of the table. Now captain of the ship, how it should be, the same way even title of the table also very much required. Even title will explain you and indicate you the whole content of a table, right? Only one title will explain you the whole content of a table. So that should be written title at the center, right? A title should be given to the table. The title should indicate in short the contents of the table. It will be written at the top in bold letters. Remember, that is the reason in capital letters I have written. Always the title has to be written in bold letters, right? Capital letters. Remember. So title is very much required. Next one is head note or subtitle. What do you mean by head note? Generally, if you are measuring any tabular information regarding number of students, generally in any college, number of students means usually 1000 to 2000 like that. So that has to be written, that has to be explained in the form of head note. That can be written here. Head note. For example, units. If you are writing, if you are representing the tabular data with numericals, if they are measured in terms of millions or in terms of centimeters or in terms of meters or in terms of numbers, quantity. So all those self-explanatory it is. Head note. By seeing the head note, what units are to be taken? It is a brief explanatory note or statement given just below the heading of the table, put in the bracket. For example, about amount, if you are taking in the tabular form, amount. Here what we must write? Whether it is in lakhs or crores or rupees or hundreds, that has to be written in head note. If you are measuring here in terms of weights, kgs, grams and all, those are to be written as head note, kg, weight, like that. If you are measuring the population, billions, millions, those are to be written in the head note. For example, in a shortcut manner, units are to be written in the form of head note. Next one is captions. What are captions? The column headings. The column headings. We call it as a captions. Remember. And what about stubs? Stubs are nothing but row readings. Stubs are nothing but row readings. Columns are captions, rows are stubs. Remember, if you write the captions here, I mean any numerical form, class interval or any kind of thing, captions if you are taking here in column readings, that itself is called as a caption. And rows, anything if you are taking, that itself is called as a stub. Next, body of the table. Now this information, this body of the table includes numerical facts, non-numerical facts, anything, the body, the center of the table, there the numerical facts are included in a body of a table. Next one is footnote. Footnote generally written for explaining in brief and precisely clarifying anything. For example, here it has to be taken footnote. The name itself is there. Head note means top, footnote means down. Clear? So head note always should be written here, footnote always should be written at the bottom level. Now what exactly the footnote is meant for? Any kind of abbreviations, any kind of shortcuts are to be written. For example, here about men and women you are bifurcating. So here you write shortcut letter M, here you write W. Now what you should mention here? M refers to men, W refers to women. So those abbreviations, shortcuts, everything should be written under the footnote. Remember. Now sources. Sources means generally here it has to be written. If you are collecting the records of students, where did you get those students record? From college administration, right? That is the main source where you get the number of students information. About amount information from government, right? About production from the government sources. So the geographical area, where did you get the information? These numerical facts regarding money, if you are taking it, where did you get the information? From banking or from government sectors, right? Financial sectors. About population, again there also the government sector, right? About number of students, that is also there in the college administration, right? Where did you get the information? From which source you will be getting the information? That has to be written here. So these are all the parts of a table. So table number at the right corner. If the data is very huge in the form of numbers, you have to be distinguished at the same time for easy reference purpose. Table number should be given in a orderly manner. Second one is title. Title has to be fixed. For any kind of data, by referring the title, the whole content will be understanding easily. And the next one is head note. Head note refers only the units. The numerical facts what you are taking here in the body of a table, those numerical facts units are to be written under head note. That also head note, head top. Next, captions. Captions are nothing but column readings in the table. The column captions, what you take it as a captions, column headings or column readings. And row readings, what you take it as a stubs. What are captions and stubs? Column readings are called captions, row readings are called stubs. Body of the table means which contains the numerical facts, remember. And footnote, the abbreviations, shortcuts which you are unable to elaborately mention here, there in a shortcut manner, what you have taken in the body of a table, that has to be abbreviated, that has to be completely given under footnote. And the last one is sources. Where did you get the information to create this table, right? So this is the formation of a table and the explanation of tabulation. I hope I am clear, right? Hope in the coming video I am going to explain the basic problems on tabulation, right? Please follow the videos. Any kind of queries, right? So you can just when offline classes were beginning, at that time you can just make a note of all the doubts, queries, or else very soon we are going to start the query session also in MyPal. So there you can clarify all your doubts. I hope I am clear about the tabulation, definition, objectives and parts of a table. In the next video, I am going to explain the basic problems on tabulation with or without numericals. Blank table, at the same time with numerical facts table we are going to solve. So hope you are following thoroughly, right? So any kind of queries you can ask during those sessions, doubt clarification sessions, which are going to commence from this coming Monday onwards. Okay, so I hope everybody is doing good at home. Take care. Have a nice day. Thank you.